I was forced to watch my son's wedding from behind the kitchen door. That sentence still echoes in my mind every time I think about that day. My name is Linda, and for years I was the woman who gave everything, every penny, every ounce of love, every sleepless night to raise my son Michael on my own. I worked double shifts, skipped meals, and sacrificed my own dreams just so he could have a better life. When he got engaged, I promised myself this wedding would be the moment I finally felt proud and seen. I was wrong. The morning of the wedding, I spent hours getting ready. 3 hours in the salon, making sure my hair was perfect. I chose a soft lavender chiffon dress, a color I loved but rarely dared to wear. I looked in the mirror and whispered to myself, "This day will be special for you too." I dreamed of sitting among family and friends, watching Michael walk down the aisle, maybe sharing a mother-son dance, or at least hearing a kind word and a toast. But none of that happened. When I arrived at the venue, there was no welcome. No one greeted me, not even Michael. I was handed a folding chair and led, almost pushed, through the swinging kitchen doors. That chair sat alone, wedged between a pile of dirty trays and a cart with a broken wheel that squeaked every time it moved. No place card, no name on the program, just silence and the faint smell of marinara sauce hanging in the air. I sat there, heart pounding, trying to steady my shaking hands. I watched through the narrow gap as guests laughed, danced, and toasted. Michael smiled brightly, adjusting his cufflinks, basking in the attention of his new family, his new mother-in-law, her father, the whole world except me. It was his day, but I wasn't part of it. I was invisible. All those years, I paid for every flower, every chair, every detail of the wedding. I covered the costs so Michael could have the celebration I never had growing up. Yet, on the one day I hoped to be honored, I was reduced to a shadow behind the kitchen door. It wasn't just about money. It was about respect, acknowledgement, the simple dignity of being seen. I'm not telling you this to seek pity. I'm telling you because if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've sacrificed everything only to be overlooked, then you are not alone. Your story matters. So please stay with me. Like, share, and comment. Let's start the conversation together. The morning had started with such hope. I woke early, the sunlight barely filtering through the curtains, and I felt a flicker of excitement I hadn't experienced in years. I wanted this day to be special, not just for Michael, but for me too. I booked the salon 3 weeks in advance, determined to look my best. 3 long hours later, I sat in front of the mirror, the soft lavender chiffon dress draped perfectly over my shoulders, a dress I never thought I'd wear to something like this. As I traced my fingers over the delicate fabric, I allowed myself to imagine the day unfolding differently. Maybe Michael would catch my eye during the ceremony. Maybe Sarah, his new wife, would acknowledge the woman who raised him. Maybe I'd dance with him one last time, just like mothers and sons do. The hours passed, but the warmth in my chest slowly turned cold. When I arrived at the venue, the cheerful chatter I expected was nowhere to be found. No one came to greet me. Instead, a young catering assistant approached, his smile hesitant and uncomfortable. "You're to wait back here," he said softly, gesturing toward a folding chair near the kitchen doors. No explanation, no apology. I followed silently, my heart sinking as the heavy swinging doors shut behind me with a sharp bang. The kitchen was alive with clanging trays and the sharp scent of marinara sauce mixed with grease. The air was thick and sour, and the heat from the ovens pressed against my back like a silent reminder of my place. The chair was unforgiving, metal folding, worn and scratched, wedged between a cart that squeaked with every push and a pile of used trays. There was no card with my name, no special place, just a lonely spot to watch the celebration from afar. I tried to steady myself. The cold chicken breast on a chipped white plate sat untouched in front of me. My nails, freshly painted soft pink, contrasted sharply with the starkness of my surroundings. From the other side of the door, laughter and music spilled through, the joyful noise of a party I was not allowed to join. Michael, radiant in his suit, was the center of attention. I caught glimpses of him smiling, adjusting his cufflinks, soaking in the praises from Sarah's parents, the very people who hadn't once thanked me, not even once. There was no mention of me in the program. No speeches acknowledging the years I spent working multiple jobs to give Michael a childhood better than my own. No mother-son dance, just an empty folding chair tucked behind the scenes, the ghost in the room. I bit back the pain. I told myself, Don't ruin this for him. Don't be the difficult mother. So I stayed silent, swallowing the ache that was twisting inside my chest. Every laugh from the hall was a fresh stab. Every clink of glasses echoed like a reminder that I was invisible. But the hurt wasn't just emotional. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I had noticed unusual charges on my credit card, expenses I hadn't authorized. A lavish bar tab at a tasting event, a rehearsal dinner upgrade at the very restaurant where they seated me near the kitchen that night, and then a Venmo message caught my eye. His mom is covering everything. Might as well go big wedding vibes. I stared at the screen, feeling something inside me harden. How could they think I was just a wallet to tap? How did this day become about appearances and excluding the woman who made it all possible? And then, buried deep in a drawer at home, I found a letter from my late husband. His handwriting was shaky, the paper yellowed with age. He confessed that Michael wasn't biologically mine, that Sarah had been pregnant before they met, and that Michael was a child left in his care. But more than biology, he wrote, I was Michael's mother because of the love and sacrifices I made. That truth cut through years of pain, betrayal, and silence. I didn't cry, I was numb. But beneath that numbness, a quiet strength began to rise, a resolve that this story wasn't over, not yet. That night, long after the last guests had left and the music had faded into silence, I sat alone in my hotel room, still dressed in the lavender chiffon that had felt so hopeful just hours before. The scent of kitchen grease mingled with the expensive rose perfume lingering on my skin, a cruel reminder of where I had been placed and what I had endured. My phone buzzed endlessly, messages and missed calls from Michael, Sarah, even my niece, all confused, worried, or angry. But I didn't answer. Instead, I opened my tablet and stared at the meticulous spreadsheet I'd kept for months. The entire wedding budget laid bare, every deposit, every payment, every unexpected expense. My heart sank as I spotted 2 charges that weren't mine to approve, a lavish bar crawl and a spa day for Sarah's bridal party, all paid with my credit card. I swallowed hard and took a deep breath. It was time to reclaim what was mine. Calm and steady, I picked up the phone and made 3 calls. The flowers scheduled for the next day's brunch? Canceled. The band's second set called off, the open bar closed early. Each cancellation felt like a small victory, a silent message that I would no longer be a ghost, funding a celebration that had erased me. Later, I pulled out the faded letter from my late husband again, the words cutting clearer than ever. Michael isn't biologically yours, but you were always his mother, not because of blood, but because of love. Reading those words ignited something in me, an awakening, a reclaiming of my power and my worth. No longer was I the invisible woman relegated behind kitchen doors. I was Linda, the mother who chose love every day, who carried burdens no one saw, who deserved to be seen. Michael's calls grew more desperate over the next days, each one filled with confusion, frustration, and apologies I wasn't ready to hear. When he finally came to the house, his face pale and eyes searching, I was ready. I sat him down and laid out the box of receipts, every single payment I had made, every expense he had ignored. Then I handed him the letter. His face shifted through disbelief, shock, and then something like guilt. You knew, he whispered. I did, I said firmly. But I never needed your biology to love you. What breaks me is that when it mattered most, you let them push me aside. You let me be invisible on your wedding day. His silence spoke volumes. Slowly, the weight of what he lost settled on him. I stood steady and resolute. I'm done being your shadow. I'm done being the woman who pays but is forgotten. It's time I live for myself. He nodded, defeated, as I closed the door behind him. And in that moment, I felt the first real breath of freedom in years. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of possibility. For so long, my life had revolved around others. The sacrifices, the worries, the constant giving. But now, with that door shut, a new chapter was beginning. I no longer needed to carry the weight of invisible burdens or shrink myself to fit into a space where I wasn't wanted. I wandered through the house, feeling the echoes of memories linger in the walls. Photos of birthdays, graduations, and quiet moments lined the shelves. I picked up a framed picture of Michael as a boy, his bright smile, the innocence in his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel a pang of sorrow. Instead, I felt gratitude. Gratitude for the years I had loved fiercely, for the woman I had become through the struggle. Slowly, I began removing those pictures, carefully wrapping them away. It wasn't about erasing the past, but making room for something new. The past had shaped me, but it no longer defined me. That night, I sat alone at the dining table, a glass of wine in hand, savoring the quiet. It was peaceful, not because I was alone, but because I was finally present for myself. I realized then that my worth wasn't tied to anyone's approval or recognition. It was mine to claim. The woman who had been pushed aside was still here, strong and ready to embrace a life lived on her own terms. This was more than an ending. It was my awakening. The days after Michael's visit were filled with a quiet stillness that felt unfamiliar, but not unwelcome. I moved through the house like I was seeing it for the first time. The faded wallpaper, the worn furniture, the memories etched into every corner. But what caught my attention most were the countless photographs of Michael scattered throughout the rooms. Smiling faces frozen in time, reminders of a life I had poured myself into, yet one that had failed to acknowledge me when it mattered most. With steady hands, I began the process of gently taking down each picture. One by one, I wrapped them in soft cloths and placed them into a box labeled simply Memories. It wasn't an act of anger or regret, but a conscious decision to release the past and make space for my own story to unfold. I wasn't erasing the years we shared, I was reclaiming my right to live beyond them. That evening, I invited a handful of friends over, people who had quietly supported me, seen me for who I was, and loved me without conditions. Claire, my nurse friend who once slipped me coffee during grueling night shifts. Mr. Henderson, my neighbor who shoveled my driveway without being asked. Dina from the bookstore who always asked how I was and actually listened. We gathered around a modest table draped in a sunflower-patterned cloth, plates filled with homemade lemon butter pasta, roasted vegetables, and fresh bread. There was no grandeur, no perfect centerpiece, just laughter and genuine connection. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly present, not just a shadow in someone else's story, but the author of my own. Claire raised her glass in a toast. To Linda, the woman who reminds us all that it's never too late to take your seat at your own table. Her words echoed in my heart. I realized then that the years I had spent trying to fit into spaces that didn't want me had drained my spirit. But now, surrounded by people who chose me, I felt a peace and joy I hadn't known I was missing. To every woman watching, especially those who have given their all but still feel invisible, hear this. Your worth is not defined by others' recognition or approval. You are deserving of respect, love, and a place where you are seen and valued. It's never too late to choose yourself, to reclaim your story, to take your seat at the head of your own table. Thank you for listening to my story. If it has touched you, please share your own experiences in the comments. Your voice matters. Together we can build a community where no one feels unseen or unheard. Healing takes time, but strength grows from the courage to say, I am enough. And so I move forward, not as someone's shadow, but as a woman fully awake, fiercely independent, and beautifully whole. This is just the beginning.